Alright. Alright. My apologies for starting so late and having a little mess ups. How are you guys doing? Hello, everyone. Welcome. Let me check and see real quick that I'm making sure that everything is on the right. Okay, yeah, everything is all good. Everything is on right. Cool, we got it. Let me get rid of the one previous vid real quick because I wasn't sure. I wasn't ready. Hold on, give me a minute, guys. Give me a minute, guys. I'm almost done. I just had to type down what I had to type down to a specific person, but yeah, pretty much. Basically, we are back with a little playoff update. A little playoff update for you guys. So, my bad, it took a little bit. So, you know, yeah. Alright, so let me go ahead and put like this to you guys. Our playoffs is right around the corner. For anyone that don't know, 10 weeks of the IFL season. That's as far as we're going. So right now we're on week 8, officially week 8. Um, some teams have a bye week this week. Some teams don't have a bye week. They have a bye week on week 9. But as that bye week is going on, the playoffs can still shift in their favor, like it has for a couple of teams so far. As you can tell by the standings, it looks a little wacky, but hey, this is how Madden 10 did their standings for teams after week 7. So it's very interesting to see how this goes with what's going on throughout the league after 7 weeks of play. So let's go ahead and get right down to it. The Philadelphia Phantoms, of course, leading the charge throughout the entire IFL, not just the division, at 7-0. They have beaten all 7 teams so far. 6 of them coming from the NFL, and of course, their one team that they finally do beat in the division, which happens to be the Magic. They beat them, and they're just sitting comfy throughout the rest of the practically throughout the rest of the season. So I will be giving playoff scenarios for each team and what they can do to pretty much not only lock in their playoff spot, but for some teams lock in that home field advantage. For anyone that don't know how the home field advantage works in the IFL playoffs, it works simply as this. So not only do they get the first round bye, but they also get the home field advantage not only throughout the playoffs, but they also get it. They also will potentially get it throughout the championship game as well. So I don't know how much of a factor the championship game is going to be in with that, because it's probably going to be a neutral site. But they pretty much get to choose. I would say the home team, the team that did the best throughout the whole season, they get to choose what uniform they would have. At 3-4, so of course at 3-3 we have the Detroit Bulldogs here, sitting pretty damn good at a 3-2 divisional record. That'll definitely help them in terms of their playoff position. We got the Magic here at 3-4. They lost to the Phantoms just last week, and of course we got the 1-5 Brooklyn Centurions. So this is going to be very, very interesting with not only them but the other two teams as well that are pretty much killing them right now. So for y'all that know, if you are in fourth place, if your team is in fourth place, you will be out of the playoffs. So you have to do as much as you can to not be on the outside looking in and be on the inside looking at the team down below. So of course we got the West Division. The West Division is looking real crazy. This is probably the toughest. This is arguably, if not even arguably, this is the toughest division throughout the. Yeah, this is the toughest division. You know, you see it right here. This is a tough division. Anyone right now can take the West Division after 10 weeks of play. But you know, yeah. This is so crazy. So let's start with the Houston Rattlers. The Houston Rattlers are on top of the division at 3-3. The reason for this is because of a division win against the Timberwolves. So as you can see, who are also sitting at 1-3 in the division, despite them being 3-4. You would think they would be on top of it, but hey, that loss to Timberwolves. This is where your divisional games is gonna matter just as much because that can help with your placement. With the standing. So the fact that the Timberwolves are sitting in at 1-3 in the division, losing to 3 teams in the division, it is so freaking nutty with how this ends up being. So of course, the Rattlers at 3-3, the Timberwolves at 3-4. Now the Pumas at 2-4. The reason why they're at 2-4 is likely because they're on a bye week. Is either they're on a bye week or the Sharks on a bye week. Is one or two. They had been on a bye week this week. That's why the standings look like this, the way that they are. But I will say this: should the Pumas win their next game, and should the Sharks win, should the Sharks lose the next game? I know that for a fact. I believe the Sharks lost last week, so that's what led to the Pumas being here at 2-4, which is so wild to see, despite them having a bye week. But yeah, if the Sharks lose their next week and the Pumas win, then looks like it'll be the Sharks that'll be on the outside looking in. But we will see how all this goes. Now, I will give you guys playoff scenarios of how all of this is going to go. This is going to be so weird with how all of this is working. So let's have at it, shall we? Now, I haven't typed down anything for the playoff scenarios yet, but we're about to start at the moment. Let's start with the Phantoms, basically, since they are leading the charge the whole way. And we're gonna type down exactly what is it that they need to do in order to get in order to pretty much lock up home field advantage. I can tell you this right now: they've already locked in. I'm gonna actually update that little thing. They actually already locked in their playoffs. So, but you know, they can never be too sure. So for the Phantoms to pretty much clinch home field advantage, they have to do the following. They have to basically win out the rest of their games. One is win out. They have to win out, or pretty much they need to get losses from Miami. Miami and Detroit needs to lose their next 2 games. They need to lose their next 2 games in order for them to pretty much clinch home field advantage, because and it's scary to say because they haven't even like, it's scary to say they've only faced one divisional team, and that's the Magic, the team that they beat. For them, they pretty much already have home field advantage. So there's that. We're gonna go ahead and now do the Bulldogs right now. Okay, Bulldogs. In order for them to get in the playoffs, they just need to keep on winning. Because right now we're about to be in week 8 of the playoffs. Let's be honest, they're absolutely not catching the Phantoms. I think with the pace that they're going right now, the Phantoms, they won't be caught. They're doing too damn good, not only against NFL teams, but now apparently even before they even faced them within their own division, they're sitting up there having issues. Like they're sitting up there just giving people issues. Okay, hold on, give me a minute. Okay, I had the response from my boss. Okay, so basically for Detroit to get into the playoffs and to keep that number two seed, they need to keep on winning. Um, the same can be said when it goes to the Centurions, actually, which is so crazy. But it's not just the Centurions that need to keep winning. They need to hope. They need to hope for more. So, for Brooklyn in their playoffs, give me a minute. Yep, we're typing this out as we go. Brooklyn needs the following to happen. They need to go ahead. They need to win. They need to not only win, not only win, not only win out, but they need to. They need help. But yeah, they need Detroit. They need Detroit or Miami to keep winning. I mean, to keep losing. So that's basically it. I'll go ahead and minimize that for y'all so you'll be able to see. Trust me, it's a pretty long text. Definitely a long text here. There you go, right here. This is Brooklyn right here. This is literally what they need. They have to keep on winning. Because right now, they have to keep on winning, and they need Detroit and or Miami to keep losing to stay in contention. Because right now, even at 1-5, they have a shot to actually make the playoffs. But considering the current hole that they put themselves in, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. So yeah, for Detroit, they have to keep on winning to keep their number two. Brooklyn, they need to not only continue to win, but they need Detroit and or Miami to lose to stay in contention of the playoffs. If not, if they even drop one game, they're out of the playoffs. Because at this point, that's the danger zone that they're in. They cannot lose these games, especially these critical games. Because I'm gonna tell you this right now: the next game they have, I believe, week 9 or week 10, they have the Phantoms. And unless the Phantoms pretty much say that they're done when it goes to playing some football throughout the rest of the season, even though they haven't even faced all the divisional teams yet, they have to hope for this with Brooklyn. They have to hope for the Phantoms to rest their starters to even have a chance at beating them right now. Because considering their current history with them, it is very unlikely for them to be beat them. But we will see what will happen within these next 2 weeks. The Magic are the last teams for us to find out in the East scenarios to see how can they continue to lock up their playoff spot, or how can they lock up their playoff position or raise it a little bit further. So for the Magic to get in the playoff, for the Magic to continue or stay in the playoffs, so they need to stay in. They need to keep winning. Oops. Keep winning or hope Detroit loses to get number 2 seed. That's basically it. If they want the number 2 seed and they want to host a playoff game, they basically need to hope for Detroit to at least drop a game. Right now, Detroit's doing a good job of maintaining that number 2 spot, but pretty much a lot of teams are doing good to keep their number 2 spot. But for Miami, they just have to keep on winning to keep their number 3 and stay in the playoffs. But if they want to host a playoff game, they need Detroit to actually lose some games, at least a couple of games, 1 or 2 games. That'll be just enough for them to even get that spot. But one thing that's on their side, of course, is for them to have the advantage of they can have the divisional advantage against them. But we'll have to see how all of that will go. Right now, though, this is what the playoffs is looking like. Home field advantage for the Phantoms. It's pretty easy for them. They pretty much are just coasting. They're pretty much just coasting throughout the rest of the season. Detroit, they're not necessarily doing the same thing, but they're doing just enough for them to stay in playoff contention and to keep their number two. Brooklyn is literally on the outside looking in. They cannot drop a game. If they at least they continue to drop so many games, they're not going to get in. And of course, last but not least, for Miami, they need to keep winning to retain their number three, or if they want number two, they need the Bulldogs to actually lose a few. So now here comes the West. The West is pretty damn crazy. It's so hard to come up with playoff scenarios with them, but I could just go ahead and say this. For the yeah, for Houston, same thing. It's pretty damn easy for them. Hold on, give me a minute. For them, since they're in the lead, they need to do the one thing that any other leader should do: keep on winning. So we're gonna put that down there right now. There you go. Houston's doing a good job. Houston has been staying in it for quite a while, though. But the fact they have the lead, they have to find a way to retain that lead. They cannot blow their lead by any means necessary if they want to go ahead and win the division. That's plain and simple for them. Just keep winning to win the division. But it will also help them if it'll help. It'll help if they win the division or Boise and Los Angeles lose. Boise and Los Angeles losing out. Say if they drop a game, but then again Boise and Los Angeles also drop a game, that will help their chances of them winning the division as well. So, yeah, pretty much. Now we have the Punis. They're next. The Punis are, depending on how they'll do this upcoming game, basically it's plain and simple. It's the same thing as it is with Brooklyn. They need to keep on winning. They need to win out, and they're technically on the outside looking in because we don't know. They're still technically in last place because they have not played their games yet, so we don't know what's going on with them. So, but I will say this right now because I will say they're technically still in last place until they play their next game. Literally, the Punis right now, they need to win out and hope for Boise and Los Angeles to lose their spot. Okay. Let's go ahead and update that a little. There you go. So this is Houston. This is Oregon. Now we got the Timberwolves. The Boise Timberwolves. Okay, so for Boise, it's real simple. If they want to go ahead and keep that number two, keep winning. To keep number two, keep winning. To get number one, they need Houston losing. So that's real simple for them. To keep number two, they have to keep winning. But if they're praying for that number one spot and they get home field advantage throughout the throughout the division, they in the playoffs on the West side, they need to hope that this continues to happen. You know, pretty much. They need to hope for that to continue to happen. To keep number two, keep winning. To get number one, Houston loses. Los Angeles, right now, Should Boise continue, we're gonna offer two playoff scenarios for them. Well, really, it should be pretty simple, but we'll go ahead and do them right now. There's like it depends on how the Punas play, but just in case, it's all gonna remain the same. Uh, yeah, LA if Oregon wins their next game, they need to continue winning out. And look for Boise or Oregon to lose. Now that's their first playoff scenario. They need to not only this is where this next one's gonna get even more nutty. Um okay, so LA if Oregon loses, continue winning. Let's say yeah, obviously need to continue winning. They win for number 3. Number 2, for number 2, win for number 3. For number 2, they need Timberwolves to lose. For number 2, they need Timberwolves to lose. For number 1, need Houston or Boise, whoever takes that spot, to continue losing. So there you go. There's the playoff scenarios, at least the best that I can make it. LA literally has two situations right now because we don't know Oregon's situation. We don't know if they're losing. We don't know if they're winning for their upcoming game. So until we don't know, this is how it's gonna look for Los Angeles right now. So until we get more information on Saturday, we have no idea. So there you go. We got the West Side's playoff scenario. Houston, for them, if they want to keep the division and they want to go on and host a playoff game, they need to keep on winning to win the division. They also need Boise and Los Angeles to continue losing out. For Oregon, for them, they need to win out and hope for Boise or Los Angeles to keep losing if they want to retain a playoff spot. For Boise to keep number 2, they have to keep on winning. But to get number 1, they need Houston to lose. And for Los Angeles, they have two scenarios. If Oregon wins their upcoming game, they need to win out and look for Boise or Oregon to lose their next couple games. For Los Angeles, for another scenario, should Oregon lose their next game, they need to continue winning for number 3. Number 2, they need Boise to lose, and for number 1, they need Houston or Boise, whoever takes the lead by that point, to continue losing out. So there you go. We will find out and see what will happen from there. For anyone that don't know the playoffs, this is what the playoffs are looking like. It is very, very tight right now in the West Division. The East Division, it's tight for number 2 and number 3, depending on how Brooklyn, depending on how they do. It's depending on Brooklyn. If they lose their next couple games, they're pretty much out of playoff contention. Because they would have easily lost like around 4 or 5 playoff games, and they're not helping their case by losing these games against NFL teams as well. So, if basically for Detroit and Miami, if they want to have playoff spots, they just need to look at Brooklyn, and that's it. No matter how much they beat each other up, they need to look at Brooklyn. They're all locked in for the playoffs. But when it goes to the fandoms, they need to hope for both these teams to continue beating each other up, for them to pretty much lock in their home field advantage. So there you go. That's it. That's all that there is to see for the playoffs. Now I will see you guys on Saturday for these upcoming games. Later.